Okay, guys, so we're in for part 2 now of the Phil Neville Show. Right, so let's talk about Unai Emery's sacking at Arsenal. No surprise whatsoever. The big clubs don't usually sack their managers mid-season. I know Jose Mourinho got sacked last season, but I think he has done, I think he's done terrible, really. I think, I think the start of the season quite okay, but then it's just gone downhill. Same defensive mistakes, dropping points at home to Southampton, who obviously everyone will remind them of a team that lost 9-0 at home, and I think, they've dropped points to a lot of teams. They lost to Frankfurt in the Europa League, again they should win. They just scrap at past sides we've never heard of, with no disrespect to those teams. Like Vittoria, I never heard of them before I heard Arsenal playing against them. And, Unai Emery has had his job saved a few times. And I think the players, I think he lost the players, I think he lost the dressing room. And I think he had to go. Everyone wanted him out. And I think, Arsenal might have thought, oh, Jesus, what if we can't finish in the Europa League? I mean, we could have qualified tonight, but Jesus, we've got one more game to make sure we qualify for the knockout stages. And, so I think they made the right decision. I think that was the final straw for Unai Emery. Freddie Ljungberg took charge in the Norwich game. He'll be in charge of the Brighton game. Whoever they appoint, I think has got a really big job on their hands. I think Allegri is a contender. You look at your Ancelotti, you look at, Pochettino. I don't think he will go to Arsenal. Not really. Brendan Rodgers has been linked with a job, of course. Apparently he's got a release clause in his contract. So there's so many contenders that you can look at. I think Allegri will be the perfect man. I think, he will be the perfect guy to take Arsenal forward. I think he will. He's more of a defensive coach. He'll organise a team for the back. I haven't watched a lot of Juventus, but he's won league titles in Serie A. Obviously, the Premier League is much different. There's so much competition in the Premier League with the best managers in the world. And I think when you look at this Arsenal team, that I think he will be the right man to take them forward. I think there's a lot of options out there. They want to play, young players want to play attractive football. When I watched the game at Norwich, nothing changed from Arsenal's point of view. It looked like the same Unai Emery attack kind of performance. I think he picked the same players because he's been training with them, he works with them. I just felt that's the lineup he wanted to play at the weekend. So I won't blame Freddie Ljungberg entirely for that. I don't think, he was the caretaker manager. It was a new experience for him. So I just think he's stuck with the same players. And I think, when the new manager comes in, whether it's at the end of the season or in mid-season, I think it's going to be really, really important for Arsenal to appoint the right man and, see if he plays good attacking football and see if he can get the best out of these players and start making them the club that the fans expect them to be, as they were in the early stages of the Arsene Wenger era. Now we're going to talk about Watford now. So when Watford sacked Quique Sanchez-Flores, I was not surprised about that either. I mean, I do feel sorry for the bloke in many ways. He never should have been sacked in the first place when he left in the first time. He came back after the transfer window had finished to replace Javi Gracia. And he didn't have time. I mean, well, yeah, he did have time, but I think, it's very, very difficult. I think the players need to look at themselves, really. I think they do. I mean, I think sometimes it's not always the manager's fault. And I think he's a very calm person. He seems a very nice guy as well, does Quique Sanchez-Flores. And I think, I don't know, they've got so much good players in the team, in the bottom of the Premier League. And I think, they need to... I think, the players need to take responsibility. Hayden Mullins is the caretaker manager for the trip to Leicester tonight. I've actually seen one of Watford's YouTube channel, and they're mic'd up when he's training the youth team in a match against Hull. And he seems a very, very good coach. in my opinion. So I wonder how we'll get on against Leicester tonight. I think Leicester are going to win tonight. But, you know, whoever they bring in, I think Chris Hughton is one of the contenders. I think Chris Hughton should take over at Watford. I think he'll be a really good option. I think what Watford need to stop doing is appointing managers we've never heard of. You know, nobody heard of Quique Sanchez-Flores when he came to Watford. Unless you're the Watford board. Nobody heard of Walter Mazzarri. Okay, I think he's worked at Inter before, but I don't think many people ever heard of him. Nobody heard of Javi Gracia. And I think they were looking to appoint an ex-Atletico Bilbao manager, is what I'm hearing in the gossip column. But I think they need to appoint somebody that's got Premier League experience, like not Quique Sanchez-Flores, sorry, I don't know why I said that. Like Chris Hughton, or Paul Clement, the ex-Swansea manager, is in contention for the job as well. I think that could be a good option. But yeah, I think, you know, you've got to stop taking risks and appoint a Premier League experienced manager. You know, and I think, you know, that's what Watford need to do if they are to stay in the Premier League. That is my opinion on it. I mean, obviously, I'm not an owner, I'm not a chairman, but that's just my view, you know. And I think Arsenal fans and Watford fans, if you could come in and have a look at this video and give me your views on this, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, I think it is quite interesting to see, you know, these two clubs, you know, the way they are struggling. You know, I think Arsenal will miss out on the top four. I think Man United will as well. I don't think we've ever got. I think we've got to fight for Europa League now. I think that's the main thing now. Unless we can win the Europa League, that's our only hope, I think. But I think Wolves could get quite far in that competition as well. But yeah, I want to know what your take is on this. So that is going to be like the end of the Phil Neville Show. One more piece of news for you, that Phil Neville will be training for Crystal Palace today. Because I would pick to decide between Burnley and Crystal Palace won 2-0. I don't know whether that news was good enough. I don't think I announced it, no. But Palace won last night, so could that have been the reason? You never know. If Phil Neville was if the 99 rated Phil was in the Crystal Palace team, I reckon Palace will be in the Champions League next season. Right, guys, so please remember to leave a like, comment below, and subscribe, most importantly. I'm targeting 50 before Christmas. If that can happen, I will be so pleased, and I will do a video on it saying thank you for the 50 subscribers. Because from where I started in June, it's been absolutely incredible, this ride I've been on. So remember, if you can, and if you like the channel, remember to do it. I'll see you later for the Crystal Palace training session for Phil Neville on FIFA 13. See you later.